It's challenging to understand the physics of the Feast of the Assumption, how it all happened. So my all-time favorite explanation of the Assumption comes from a typical teacher-student exchange. The teacher asks, "Who can tell me what the Feast of the Assumption is all about?" A little boy offers the response, "It means that Mary was so holy that we assume she went to heaven." That's about it. To appreciate the meaning of this feast, we might take two artists' portrayal of Mary. One, the Pietà by Michelangelo, shows us the depths of sorrow that she experienced. The other, I thought it was dark in here. Yeah. That's the Assumption. That's it. Thank you. The other, El Greco's painting of the Assumption, shows Mary in glory. Michelangelo has carved out of marble a beautiful tribute to Mary. It's a tribute to her yes, to God's will. In the statue, Mary is holding Jesus in her arms, looking upon his torn body with a mother's tender and loving compassion. I'm sure you've all seen it. Michelangelo calls the statue the Pietà. A Pietà in Italian, an Italian word, loosely translated means faithfulness. Mary is the woman who with all her heart remained faithful to the will of God. She remained faithful despite the fact that she did not understand. She trusted God. She trusted that God loved her. She trusted his wisdom and ways. She trusted completely even when she did not understand. Michelangelo's summary of her incredible achievement is the one word pietà, faithfulness. She said yes to God's will, and she was faithful to the very end. To see the reward of that faithfulness, we turn to El Greco's painting of the Assumption, Mary being assumed into heaven in glory. Because of her active obedience and faithfulness to God, she was assumed body and soul into heaven. We need to keep both of these images in mind because we need both images of Mary to inspire us. Someone has sagely remarked, "I think only about the future. After all, that is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life." Well, the church very much approves of this line of thought. The church wants us to think often of the afterlife, the hereafter, where we will spend most of our existence. This is the one reason the church celebrates feasts such as the Assumption. The Assumption celebrates Mary's entry into the next life, a life of unending happiness with God. This is the same destiny that awaits every one of us who exits this life as Mary did, in God's favor, that is. As we celebrate this feast of the Assumption, may we set our sights on heaven and make it our goal to settle for nothing less than that great glory. Just as sailors need a lighthouse, so we all need beacons to guide us on our journey to heaven. And what better beacon could there be could we ask for than Mary? Mary, who has been called the Star of the Sea, since St. Jerome coined that phrase in the 5th century. All her life, she has shown us how to say yes to God. Even as she came to the end of her life on earth and was assumed into heaven, she continued to shine. Pope Benedict XVI once said, "By contemplating Mary in heavenly glory, we understand that the earth is not the definitive homeland for us either, and that if we live with our gaze fixed on eternal goods, we will one day share in this same glory." You know, friends, truth be told, it's not always easy to keep our eyes fixed on heaven, especially when life is hard. The problems in front of us have a way of obscuring the glorious future that God has in store for us. But Pope Benedict once again reminds us that Mary's Assumption is a luminous sign that shines out even more brightly when sad shadows of suffering and violence seem to loom on the horizon. Mary's Assumption into heaven may have signaled the end of her physical presence here on earth, but friends, she's still very much with us. So let her be your beacon in good times and in bad times. Let her take you by her hand and lead you to her Son, Jesus. She will reassure you of his never-ending merciful love for you. She will encourage you to persevere as she did. And she will show you that just as God had a glorious plan for her life, one she didn't always understand, so God has a wonderful plan for you and me. It's a plan that culminates in heaven, with you standing next to all of the angels and saints, joyfully worshiping her Son. Friends, let me just leave you with one final thought. Never be afraid of loving the Blessed Mother too much, because you can never love her more than Jesus did.